Welcome to Lingua Wire English A2. Today we have two stories, one about important talks between the US and Iran, and another about fuel protests in Ireland. Follow us to practice your English every day with the latest episode. For transcripts and comprehension quizzes, visit linguawire.com. I'm here with Sarah, Lingua Wire's international relations correspondent. Sarah, what is happening with the talks between the US and Iran?
Hello, Daniel. The US and Iran are planning to have face-to-face talks soon. This is the first time in many years that leaders from both countries will meet directly. It is a big step because their relationship has been difficult since 1979.
What is new about these talks now?
The new thing is that the US Vice President J.D. Vance will meet Iran's parliamentary speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf in Islamabad this weekend. This is the highest-level meeting since the 1979 revolution. Even though they may not shake hands or smile, the meeting shows both sides want to try diplomacy.
Why are these talks important now?
These talks are important because there is a war causing problems worldwide. Both countries want to avoid more fighting and find a peaceful solution. Also, the last big talks were in 2018. But those talks stopped when the US left a nuclear deal. Now they want to try again.
What could happen after these talks?
If the talks go well, they could start a new agreement to reduce tensions. But it is not easy because both sides still do not trust each other. The talks might help stop the war or at least slow down the conflict. However, some people say a full peace deal is unlikely soon.
Is there anything surprising about this meeting?
Yes, it is surprising because the two men might not even shake hands or smile. Usually, leaders try to show friendliness, but here, just meeting is a strong signal that both sides want to try something new.
What challenges do the talks face right now?
One challenge is that the ceasefire they agreed on is very shaky. Some parts of the ceasefire were broken soon after it started. Also, Israel says it will not agree to a ceasefire in Lebanon, which makes the situation more difficult.
How long have the US and Iran been without high-level talks?
They have not had talks like this since 2018. That year, the US left the nuclear deal made during the Obama administration. Since then, efforts to restart talks have not made much progress.
Thank you, Sarah, for explaining this important story. Now I'm with Adam, Lingua Wire's European news correspondent. Adam, what is happening with the fuel protests in Ireland?
Hello, Daniel. In Ireland, farmers and truck drivers have been blocking roads for 4 days. They use tractors and other vehicles to slow traffic. They protest because fuel prices are very high.
What is new today about the government's response?
The Irish government says it is working on a fuel support package. This means they want to help people and businesses with the high fuel costs. The talks between the government and protest groups are going well, but the government says the blockades must end first.
Why are the protests happening now?
The protests started because fuel prices went up after the war between the US and Iran and Israel. This war has caused problems in the global oil supply, making fuel more expensive in many countries, including Ireland.
Why does this matter for Ireland?
It matters because the blockades are stopping travel and making it hard for emergency services like ambulances and fire trucks. The government says fuel supplies for these services are under pressure, which is dangerous for people's safety.
What might happen next with these protests?
The government and protest leaders will keep talking this weekend. If they agree on the support package, the blockades should stop. But if the blockades continue, the government warns it might have to turn away oil shipments, which could make the fuel problem worse.
Is there any interesting detail about the protests?
Yes. One detail is that on the M1 motorway near Dundalk, vehicles blocked both lanes at a turnoff. This caused long traffic queues and made it hard for people to travel in that area.
How are the talks between the government and protesters going?
The talks are described as constructive engagement, which means both sides are talking seriously. The Irish Deputy Prime Minister said the talks are going well and will continue over the weekend.
What does the government say about the blockades?
The government says the blockades must end. They warn that if the blockades continue, it could cause bigger problems with fuel supply and safety.
Thank you, Adam, for these clear updates on the situation in Ireland. Let's review some useful words from the story about the fuel protests in Ireland. First, the word blockade. A blockade means stopping or blocking a road or place to stop people or goods from moving. In the story, protesters created blockades by blocking roads with tractors. For example, the workers made a blockade at the factory gate. Next, the word support. Support means help or assistance. The Irish government is preparing a fuel support package to help people with high fuel prices. For example, my friends gave me support when I was sick. The third word is pressure. Pressure means stress or difficulty caused by a problem. The story said, fuel supplies for emergency vehicles are under increasing pressure. For example, I feel pressure when I have many exams. Now, for our second part, the verb to block. To block means to stop something from moving or to close a way. We use it when something or someone stops a road or path. The verb block is regular. In the present tense, we say I block, you block, he blocks. In the past tense, we add ed, blocked. For example, the protesters block the road every day. Another example is, yesterday, the trucks blocked the highway. This verb is useful when talking about protests or traffic problems. Remember, we use blocks with he, she, or it, and block with I, you, we, and they. That is all for today's language recap. Follow Lingua Wire for the latest daily episode and build your daily language habit with us.